Good morning, my loves. Happy Thursday. It is July 3rd, the day before the 4th of July here in the U.S. A lot of people are off work today. Most people are off work tomorrow to celebrate. A lot of people are headed for vacation, headed to the lake, family reunions, barbecues, just having a staycation at home. Please, please be smart, be safe, but have fun. Do not drink and drive. Do not use illicit drugs and drive, because I deal with this every day in my day job. People that just had one too many. They don't think they had one too many. They did. It affects your reaction time. People who are, they already had a bad back, or, they had shoulder surgery or something and they're on pain meds and they're driving. It can affect your reaction time. So please be smart if you're driving, especially if you have a carload of family or friends in the car. You're responsible for their life. And, if you're driving a vehicle and you're under the influence, you're driving, a 2,000-pound weapon, a car. And if you hit another vehicle, you're responsible. If you're under the influence and you are not in control of your reaction time, you are responsible for that accident. Yeah. You're responsible for their injuries. Excuse me. You're responsible for their injuries. You're responsible for any deaths. Can you live with that? A lot of people think, not my problem. Honey, it is if it's your fault. Absolutely is. And I see it every day. The devastation to innocent people is just unreal. Years ago, this goes back to the early 80s. I was working in intensive care, and it was over the holidays. And I will never forget, there was a car, there was a mom and her two kids, a little boy and a little girl, and they were coming back home from having early Thanksgiving with family, and they were hit by a drunk driver. The drunk driver was unscathed, of course, other than being very drunk and arrested. The mom was killed at the scene, the little boy died at the scene, and this little girl, who was the same age as my son, was the sole survivor. Just her. And they brought her in. PICU, pediatric ICU, was full, so they sent her to our unit, and she was my patient for that 12-hour shift. Well, and even the next shift, because I had a child that age, and they thought it would be easier for her to have somebody that was a mom, and that was fine. But I will never forget that little girl and how devastated she was. She had a head injury, and she would wake up asking for her brother. I will never, ever forget that. She would wake up, she would doze off and wake up, and she would call out for her brother. And I would just say, he's not here. Just go back to sleep, sweetheart. I can't tell her. She's 6, 7 years old. I can't say, honey, your brother's dead and so's your mom. And by the way, the dad you never met is on his way. We had to call the dad in another state who had never met his kids. He knew they were there. He sent the check. He was not involved in their lives. He had to drive from the northern United States to Kansas to get his little girl, who's in intensive care. That was traumatic for her. She didn't know him. She had never met him. It was hard on him because the mother of his kids was gone. His son that he never met was gone. And now he has a little girl. And his wife came with him, and she was really nice. It was very traumatic. The reunion was really, I shouldn't say reunion, the meeting was very, very traumatic and very sad. But the drunk driver was responsible for all this. I have no idea whatever happened. But I will never, ever forget that. I remember crying all the way home that night. I worked 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., and when I got off work, I cried all the way home. I felt so bad for that little girl because her holidays would never be the same. Her life would never be the same because of a drunk driver. And I see this at work all the time. You know, young people who are on their way to a party, or, you know, they won the big game and they had a few beers and they hit somebody. Somebody that had a rough week at work and they hit the bar. Maybe they had a date that went really well and they had a little too much to drink and they hit somebody. They didn't mean purposely, intentionally mean to hit a car with other people in it and take a life, to, you know, alter somebody's life forever. They were just a little self-absorbed. Sweetie, we're all responsible for our own actions, attitudes, behaviors, and the consequences. So if you get in that car and you've been drinking, you get in the car and you've been smoking weed, you get in the car and you've taken pills, you, my love, you are responsible for the consequences of your actions. You can't blame it on anybody but yourself. You knew what you were doing when you got in the car, got behind the wheel, buckled up, and started the engine. That's just my thoughts on it. Please be thoughtful, be mindful. Call an Uber, call a cab, call a friend. Give somebody else your keys. Have a designated driver. Be smart. Do not operate a boat or a jet ski when you're drunk. Same thing. Just please, please be smart. I know a lot of people are going to be having fun with fireworks. Again, stupid things are going to happen. People will have a little too much to drink. They don't follow safety precautions. I know families that actually have firework fights, throwing fireworks at each other. Why would you do that? Why would you throw explosives at each other and find it funny? Because people get injured, people get burned. Kids will pick it up, an animal will pick it up. It's not funny, it's not cute. People don't care. A lot of people are apathetic. They're so caught up into immediate gratification and having fun at the moment, to hell with the consequences. I know a lot of people like that. They are thrill seekers. Just remember, you and you alone are responsible for your actions, attitudes, behaviors, and the consequences. So instead of being destructive, do the opposite. Lift people up, help them, love them, be compassionate, understanding, thoughtful. Be the best you that you can be. Nobody expects perfection. Like the video yesterday, God does not expect any of us to be perfect. He doesn't want that. He just wants us to be the best, for you to be the best you that you can be. Plain and simple. And the best you that you can be is going to be sober. It is. Help is out there if you need help getting sober. If you have an addiction, you have a dependency, help is available. It's out there. Please be safe, be smart, because other lives depend on it. And you are so worthy of greatness. You are worthy of sobriety.